Welcome to another episode of Learn to Love 101. I am your host, Clifton Brantley, and I am so glad that you have joined me today. All right. So listen, before I even get started, if you are one of my normal followers, share this video with someone and tell them about it. If you're not a normal follower, I'm not going to ask you to like and subscribe blindly. But as I'm doing what I do, if you like what you hear, then definitely please do like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, just like. And if you are on, I'm on Instagram today, just share it, I guess. All right. All right, here we go. So listen. So last time we talked about choosing the right partner, and I kind of gave you some intro stuff, right? Hold on, my face up here is going to annoy me. Let me close this. I can't look at me while I'm doing it. Okay, yeah. So anyway, so last time I talked about choosing a mate. And I gave you some preliminary things to look out for before you actually choose a mate, right? Before you choose a partner, there are some things that you need to know beforehand. Now, remember, adult relationships, especially marriage, they're for adults. Not just chronological adults, meaning you're of age, but more so emotionally mature adults. Adults who no longer act in childish ways to their frustrations and their anger. That's what I mean by adult. That is why the Apostle Paul said, when I was a child, I thought, acted, and reasoned like a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. Now, the childish things that he's talking about is not, not childhood fun, or not. He's not talking about toys, right? He's talking about emotional maturity, right? Emotional maturity produces the kind of love that he was talking about and explaining in Corinthians. Now, I'm not trying to do a play on words, right? But notice he did not say, when I got older, I put away childish things. He said, when I became a man. Oftentimes, we become men and women long after we've reached the age of adulthood. You being emotionally mature and able to recognize emotional maturity will help you in the process of choosing a partner. So I also told you last week that the right partner is one that is suitable for your soul, right? Another way to say suitable partner for your soul is soulmate. So we will dive into soulmates tonight to help you understand this idea of soulmates better, okay? Now, let me give you a definition of dating, because I'm talking about before you're married and you're dating, right? Here's what dating is. I got this from Dr. Darius Daniels, and I just like it. Dating is about collecting data. That's it. Collecting data. That's what dating is. That's what it's supposed to be. Too often we use dating for a whole lot of other stuff, but dating is really just the time when you collect data, right? And you're collecting data for the purpose of seeing if they are a good fit for you. Hopefully they're collecting data for the same thing, but that's what you're collecting data for. Now, another way to say it is fruit inspecting. You're inspecting fruit. Now, did you know when you are inspecting fruit, all of the fruit, and I'm talking about the fruit of spirit, right? All fruit are relational. Did you know that? Sometimes people think they're inspecting fruit, if the brother, if he takes the trash out, or if he goes to church, or if he dresses nice. That's not fruit, okay? Fruit always has to do with relationships. So the two biggest hindrances for you to be able to choose the right partner are moving too fast and not collecting the right data. Moving too fast and not collecting the right data. And so these are the two that I want to focus on. But listen, I encourage you to take notes so that you can ask questions at the end if you have them, right? Because I don't want you to have a question and then you lose it. So if you need to take notes, because I know when I get to the soulmate piece, it's probably going to be a lot of questions and comments, but it's all good. I'm ready for it. So first, let's talk about moving too fast. Okay. I talked to someone not long ago who got married within 3 months of them meeting each other. I cannot overstress enough to you how unwise it is to get married too soon. You set yourself up for, I'm not going to say failure, but you set yourself up for unnecessary heartache and frustration, right? It's not that a relationship like that cannot work. It's just very dangerous, right? And just because you know a couple who got married quickly and now they're still married 30 years later, and it seems as if they have a good marriage, that doesn't mean that that's the standard, that that's how you do it, that that's okay. It doesn't mean that. They are the exception. If I say, hey, don't cross the street, don't cross the freeway, don't run across the freeway, you kill yourself, don't do that. And then you decide to run across the freeway anyway, and you make it, that doesn't now mean that it's safe to do that. It's still unwise. It's still unsafe. In the same way, just because you know someone, you know a couple who did it quickly and they're still married and seemingly to you they're happy, that doesn't mean that that's a wise thing to do. It is very unwise. My question is this to the people who want to rush: what's the rush? Why are you in such a hurry? If it's truly right, if it's right today, it'll be right tomorrow, right? You don't have to rush into it. In the beginning, things always feel amazing. But I don't know if you ever thought about this. When things feel amazing in the beginning, that's not because you guys are made for each other. It's not because you're made for each other. Only time can tell how well you guys fit together. That's why you shouldn't rush. But the main reason you need to slow down when you're inspecting fruit is because fruit looks different when we're being squeezed by life. And when I say, being squeezed by life, so when you first meet, everything is great. Like, you're in this state of euphoria. And that's when people make decisions about life partners because it feels so good. It's never felt this good before. I get that. But sometimes when you say it's never felt this good before, it's because you've had so much bad, you're settling for normal. And so now this person is treating you normal and it feels amazing. You say, I got to do this. Woke mosabi, as my wife would say. Woke mosabi. Like, slow down. Do not make the life-altering choice of choosing a partner because of how good they make you feel. What you may not realize is that how you feel is far more about you than it is them, right? How you feel is about you, not them. Here's an example. So the neck, right? The neck is a sensitive area and often causes arousal when kissed, right? Imagine you didn't know that. As a matter of fact, if I could tell a story about when I was a kid and I didn't know. This is before I was involved with girls or anything. I know nothing about the neck being sensitive, but I'm gonna just give my example instead, right? So imagine you don't know that the neck is sensitive. No one has ever kissed your neck, right? And then one day you meet someone, and as you guys are dating and getting involved, they kiss you on the neck. Your body responds to that kiss in the way that it has never responded before. For you to think that your body is doing what it's doing because of the other person is an incorrect assessment. The truth is, if someone else kissed your neck, your body would likely have the same response, which means then it can't be about the person. It has to be about you. In the same way, Just because you feel good with someone does not mean they are special. And let me be clear in case I haven't been. You choosing a partner because of how you feel is about you, and it does not tell you much about them or their fruit, right? What will tell you about them is how they respond to anger and hurt and disappointment, right? So now, let's talk about. Actually, I was going to go to data collecting, but let me give you a little bit more on this whole going too fast. When you go too fast, have you ever been speeding in your car? And I don't mean speeding like, like speeding, but I'm sure you probably done that too, right? Not into that. Let's say you're in a hurry to get somewhere. You're in your car, you're in a hurry to get somewhere. When you're in a hurry, there's a lot you don't notice, right? There could be beautiful scenery on the side of the road and all kind of things to see. You won't see any of that because you are focused and rushing to where you're trying to get to, right? So when we're moving fast, you miss a lot of the details that are important for you once you get in a relationship and get married. Like, you needed those details. And watch this. Sometimes when you're going too fast, you see the red flag, but you think it's fuchsia. Oh, that's a nice wedding color. No, that's a red flag. That's not fuchsia. That's not pink. It's red. But you run right through it because you're so caught up in your emotions, right? And we're going so fast, and I've never felt this good. And then all of a sudden, bam, I get married. What you said. So now the flag is red, and you see that it's red, but the behavior hasn't changed. So you married them. When you married them, they had this behavior, but you thought it was not a big deal, or you thought you could change it, or you thought, I don't know what you thought, but you ran through that red flag, and now you're upset because you chose what you chose because you were going too fast. Anytime someone moves too fast, and I kind of said this before, anytime you move too fast, I guarantee you it's based on how good it feels. It's not based on reality. Think about this. If I'm choosing a life partner, I don't need to choose them based on how good it feels. I need to choose them based on how well they do life with me. Because what's going to happen in life is life. Life happens to everybody. And when life starts to squeeze you, that's when I need my partner to put on their superhero uniform. You feel me? I can go to Vegas and have fun with a stranger. But if I'm in the hospital, I want my loved ones with me. I ask people this question all the time. If you had to choose between these two, having fun by yourself or being in pain by yourself, which one would you choose? Nobody ever chooses pain alone. But we choose mates who are all fun, and they're not equipped to be what we need them to be when life happens. Okay? So be careful of that. So that's the first thing. Don't move too fast. And I'm going to move on to this next part because this part may be a little long. Hopefully I can get it. I've only been 15 minutes. Okay, we're good. So now let's talk about data collecting. Okay? The dating process, we're supposed to be collecting data. Now, I said this last week. When you're data collecting, that is not the time to introduce deep intimacy. And I'm not just talking about sex. And when I say I'm not talking about sex, I'm actually not even talking about religion. God says no sex before marriage. That is true. Most of you know that. But that ain't even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about introducing intimacy too soon before you know this person. Now you done got caught up with them, and you realize it's not what I thought it was, but now your heart says yes when your mind is saying run. Let me tell you something. It's difficult to break free from your heart when your mind is telling you that's not good for you. If you had been patient, you'd have saw that yourself. But you allowed your heart to get involved way too soon and too deeply. So when you have sex too soon, I used to say this when I was younger. like in my 20s when I was talking to people about relationships, long before I was a therapist. But, and I think I was talking to a friend at a time, but women would say, he lost interest after he got some. That's because you gave it to him on the second date. The reality is you didn't know that, brother. You were just caught up in how good it felt. He was going to lose interest anyway because y'all not compatible. But you ain't give him time to get there. You gave him the sex. And life just played out. So maybe he didn't leave you because he got some. Maybe he left you because he don't like you. But you ain't wait to see if that was the reality. Okay? So, collecting data. Now, what kind of data should you be collecting? What kind of data should you be collecting? You will collect all kinds of data about the person that you're getting to know and dating. But the most important kind of data is relational data. I know that may seem obvious, but trust me, it's not. It's not. I do this for a living. People come in all the time. What made you choose them? And the stuff I hear. Relational data is what you're trying to gather, okay? What's some relational data? Their character, right? Who are they when no one is watching? Well, I guess you don't know if you're not watching, but that's good. So if you don't know, so if their character is who they are when no one's watching, and you're part of no one, so you're not watching either, how then do you get to know their character? Time. You got to take the time to get to know them. Another relational, and this is probably the biggest one that you need to be looking out for when you're collecting data, emotional maturity. You hear me talk about that a lot because it will wreak havoc on your life and your relationships. Emotional maturity. How do they handle anger? How do they handle conflict? How do they handle disappointment? Right? See, anybody can talk a good game when life is good. You meet, women, you meet a guy, he's chivalrous, he takes you out, he's always paying, he's just the nicest guy. He's very calm, he's good at everything, right? But then when he gets angry, he can't talk, he shuts down. Or when he gets angry, his words get super fly, the kind that cut like a two-edged sword, right? Or he curses you out, or he calls you names, right? By the way, let me address name calling right quick, okay? If you're in a relationship and you guys are calling each other's names, that's called toxic. The way to run me off is call me out of my name. And some of the stuff I hear from people who are trying to make their relationship work, I'm like, what made you think that was okay for him to call you that? What made you think it was okay for her to say that to you? Like, that's not just, and I'm talking about beyond stupid. Oh, you so stupid. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about cursing people out, name calling, okay? That goes to emotional maturity and character. You need to know if they have toxic tendencies. And there's only so much you can know up front. I get that. But if you take the time, people can only pretend for so long. Eventually, what's real is going to show up. And then you can make some real choices, right? I tell people relationships go in three stages, right? They go from euphoria to reality to offense. In euphoria, everything is great. You think this is the best thing since sliced bread. Like, wow, this is so amazing. Then reality sets in. You realize, oh, they're not perfect. Now you got to make a choice based on what's real. And if you guys are not compatible, if y'all are not soulmates, then it moves quickly to offense. Sometimes it ends. So, what is their emotional maturity level like? Have they healed their soul? Are they still dealing with childhood stuff? Right? I know I've done a lot of work because I believe in therapy. I'm a therapist, right? But I believe in work, and I've done a lot of childhood work. So a few weeks ago, when I realized there was another layer of childhood work I need to do. I was so frustrated. Why? Because I'm tired of doing work. Like, I just want to be perfect, like the rest of y'all, right? That's not gonna happen. You gotta. As a matter of fact, now this is just me. I'm throwing this in because I'm me, and you're listening to me. How do they feel about therapy? Here's why I ask that. The thing we don't teach people to do is relationships. We don't teach people how to do marriage. Your parents being married and having a great marriage tells you nothing about how they did that. You wasn't in the marriage, right? So it would be wise for you to take the time to get to know someone so that you can know how to do relationships, because we don't teach people how to do relationships. So then you need to know, hey, how you feel about therapy? How do you feel about and here's the thing. It doesn't have to be necessarily formal therapy, but how do they feel about someone else speaking into their life? Do they have the kind of mindset, well, I don't need nobody to tell me how to run my life. I don't need nobody to tell me how broken I am. Okay. Well, are you doing your own work then? Like, what does that mean? Can you help me? How'd you become so great? How'd you become a life guru all by yourself? Like, you need to know if they are committed to self-development. Why is that? Because we're human beings. We always change. We grow, we evolve. And as I grow, if you're not committed to self-development, eventually we're gonna grow so far apart that's not etched in stone. Potentially grow so far apart that it's just gonna be difficult, not impossible, difficult for us to make this thing flow, right? So I think I'm adding that. That wasn't in my notes. Ask them how they feel about therapy. Like, are you okay with someone speaking into your life? You know what I didn't do? I did not. Okay. I'll just make sure I'm doing all this talking. I had to make sure I was live because I hadn't seen any comments. I hadn't seen any, but I see, as long as I got one person, I'm good. I ain't, I'm doing what I do. Okay. So let me keep going. But somebody say something, hey, or something, so I know y'all there. And Instagram, thank you guys. Hey, Dr. Marks, how's it going? Hey, my cousin. Let me get back to what I'm doing. All of this cannot go on the podcast. Why'd y'all make me do that? Okay, back to what I was saying. Okay, get back to my notes. All right, so here we go. So what I talked about the character, talked about emotional maturity. Now, this is something new, honest, for me. This is new for me. Because I've never really had issues surrounding money in relationships, right? Meaning, like, I'm not finna fight about money. I'm not doing that one. So I haven't done a whole lot of teaching on money. But last week, I heard I guess it was a sermon on, being single and being a good steward of your money so that when you get married, you ain't balled out of control. You haven't balled out of control. Now you're broke. I'm like, man, I wish somebody had told me that when I was in my 30s. But anyway, I think this is something worth collecting data on. How do they spend their money? How do they handle their money? Not just whether or not they save or spend, right? But what do they spend their money on? That can tell you a lot. Whenever a person, not whenever a person, but wherever a person's treasury is, their heart will be there also, right? We typically spend money on what's important to us. I think it's good to know where their heart is. Follow the money, right? How do they handle money? Or, are they materialistic? Do they need to buy a new car every week all the time? Not every week. If they buy a car every week, can send them, whoever that is, I think you should date them. Tell them you got a therapist friend who wants the F-150. Because they just splurging like that. I want a Raptor with really, really big wheels. And I'll send you the rest of it okay. Their family of origin. You want to know what's their family of origin like? Like, where they come from, right? How were they raised? Were they raised or did they just grow up, right? Who was in the house? What happened to them? What was their relationship like with their dad? That's important, right? Now, these are not necessarily determining factors, but while you're collecting data, you still need to know where they come from, right? That's important. You need to know where they come from. Why? Because it may give you an indication of why they are the way they are, why they operate the way they do, why they believe what they believe. And a good portion of the work that I do with helping couples have stronger connections is teaching them how to understand each other. So understanding your origin is a good part of understanding. It doesn't necessarily mean like if they come from a bad origin. Let me be clear about this. Just because they come from, I'm gonna just say, a rotten tree, doesn't mean necessarily that they're guaranteed to be rotten. It doesn't mean that. All of us come from some sort of brokenness. At least that's just what I believe. And so, like for example, people used to. I remember when I was younger and dating, like in my 20s, I used to hear women telling me what their mom told them as far as watch how he treat his mom. And I guess that's something good to look at, just like looking at the family of origin. But here's the thing. At the time, how I treated my mom, I didn't treat her bad, but I didn't go see my mom a lot. She lived on the north side. If you know Houston is like its own continent, right? So it's far, far away. I'm not making an excuse. I'm just telling you about reality. Okay. So I didn't spend a lot of time with my mom. If you took that and concluded, oh yeah, he don't know how to love women or treat women, or he not a good person or whatever, it's okay. You'd be wrong though. And the point that I'm making is you examine the family of origin, but it don't have to be the determining factor, but you do want to know, hey, I want to know what, as much as I can about what's in there, about what I'm choosing. Okay. Now, one of the most important areas to collect data. So, and this is connected to the emotional maturity piece, right? So this is another important area. Collect data on the area of conflict resolution, right? It is not what happens in your relationship that causes it to go sideways. It's how you handle what happens, how you respond to what happens. Okay? Can they communicate when they're angry? Or do they tend to shut down? When they get angry, do they throw things? Right? You need to know if they are committed to resolving conflict. Do they value us being together, or do they value winning? Side note, this is not in my notes. Red flag, if you get with someone and they value winning more than loving, and you'll be able to tell eventually, they are potentially toxic, but they're definitely dangerous. Trust me, they're dangerous. Okay? Now, when it comes to choosing the right partner, ultimately, you want to choose someone who is a soulmate for you. Okay? You want to choose someone who is a soulmate for you. Now, I know there are many opinions and ideas about soulmates, so I need to tell you what I mean so that you will understand the message I'm trying to communicate to you, right? You need you to understand the message. So, first of all, let me tell you what a soulmate is not, okay? A soulmate is not someone God has already chosen for you. I don't see where the Bible supports that idea, that God has already chosen someone for you, right? Now, I do believe that God is absolutely concerned with who you choose, and he wants to be involved in the choice, right? That's good news, because some of you are not good at picking well, right? And if that is you, I strongly encourage you to allow God to direct your choices. As a matter of fact, even if you think you are good at picking, nobody knows you like him. Nobody knows the plans he has for you like him. The thing about it is this: marriage is a natural relationship with supernatural significance. Marriage is a natural relationship with supernatural significance. So who you decide to be in relationship with will heavily affect the quality of your life on the planet. But that still does not mean that God has already chosen someone for you. God won't even choose your God for you. So why would he choose your mate? Now, God will direct your steps if you allow him, but he's not going to make your steps for you. Okay? He's not going to make your steps for you. So here's the definition of a soulmate, so we all can be on the same page, right? A soulmate is, watch this, I hope you're ready, got your notepad, right? Okay. A soulmate, y'all watching on Instagram? A soulmate is a mate for your soul. I know. Insert 3 mind-blown emojis right there. That was so deep, wasn't it? I know. I'm kidding. That's what it is. A soulmate is a mate for your soul. That's it. That's all. It really is that simple. A mate for your soul. But then the question becomes, what then is a soul? Aha. That's where the education needs to go. So a soulmate is a mate for your soul, but then what is the soul? If a soul needs a mate, then we need to know what the soul is, right? Here's what it is. The soul is one of the 3 parts of who we are. There are 3 parts. The soul is one of them. The 3 parts are body, soul, spirit, right? I am a spirit. I live in a body. I have a soul. Yes, ma'am. Am I somebody? Who is it? Chandler? Yes. Oh, I'm busy right now, son. Okay. This is not going on my podcast, obviously. That's how life happens. What was I? I am a spirit. I live in a body. I have a soul, right? So the spirit part of me is the part that desires connection with a higher power. Okay. Now for me, no secret, my higher power is Jesus of Nazareth. Okay. The body is the place where the spirit lives on earth. You get that? So the body is the place where the spirit lives on earth. The body is man's connection to the planet. The soul then is the animator of the body and the spirit, right? Your soul is your version of humanity. Now, when I say your version of humanity, it's your version not because you created it. It's yours because it was given to you, like your arms and your legs or your skin color, right? You didn't choose that, but it's yours. In the same way, your soul is yours because it was given to you. It's your version of humanity. So then, the spirit connects us to God and it desires God. Okay? The body connects us to earth and it desires earthly things. The soul determines which one will be in control at various times between the body and the spirit. Did you get that? Spirit connects us to God, body connects us to earth. The soul determines who is in control between the body and the spirit at various times. Now, I know that may have seemed like a long explanation. However, I want to make sure you understand that the soul I want to make sure that you understand the soul so that you can understand soulmate, right? Your soul is who you are, and it is comprised of your personality, your emotions, and your will, right? Your soul is who you are at your core, right? Clifton is my version of humanity. This is why it is required for you to become an emotionally mature adult before entering marriage. Emotionally mature adults, or what I call EMAs, they know who they are and they've healed their soul. Because most of us show up to adulthood with wounded souls. Now, just so you'll know, the heart, the soul, and the mind at times can be used interchangeably. Okay, so but we're talking about a soulmate. Emotionally mature adults are soulmate ready, right? So then, when choosing a partner, you want to make sure that the person you're choosing is a soulmate. Notice I did not say your soulmate, because I want to make sure I am combating the idea that there's only one person for me. What if you don't meet them? Then what? Or what if they die? Then what? Does God pick somebody else? Doesn't make sense, right? So, but if you're going to choose a mate, you want to choose one that is a soulmate for you, meaning someone who is compatible and complementary to your soul. All right? What do you value? Do you have competing or complementary values? I help people, right? It's what I do. My wife complements my value to help people because she is also a helper, right? If you value, for example, watch this. If you value effective communication, but the person that you are examining to see if they are a suitable mate cannot communicate, then you guys may not be compatible, which means you may not be soulmates. So the last thing I want to share about soulmates is this. This is important. I don't want you to be confused. When you choose a soulmate as a partner, it does not mean that things will be perfect, right? We're still human beings. So perfection is not ever going to be what we're striving for. However, the depth of your connection, the depth at which your connection can go, will be unmatched when you're with a soulmate. And soulmates, we don't marry all soulmates. Sometimes you can have a soulmate, someone who fits you, like, man, we just click, and y'all are just best friends. Or sometimes you can have a soulmate as a cousin, right? Why I feel like something on my head is not. Y'all can feel like, you could be cousins or whatever, right? So soulmate is not just for romantic, but if you're going to get married, the idea is choose a soulmate. Now, I know there are people on here who are married, so let me share something with you. It is okay if you feel like you got married and you did not marry a soulmate. All hope is not lost. Okay, don't run to divorce court because you feel like you did not marry a soulmate. You can become soulmates by learning to love and value each other the way God intended. Yeah, you can become a soulmate. So it's not natural. You two meet and it ain't like we may not have valued the same. We may have had competing values for a while. But here's the thing about marriage, since I'm on this. I said this the other day, but if marriage is if this marriage is your final destination, it's where I'm going to live forever in this marriage, why then do we fight so hard to hold on to who we used to be? Who you used to be don't fit in this marriage. So in this marriage, some of your values may need to change. But because divorce is always an option in our mind, it's like, no, I'm keeping my values. And if this marriage don't work, then I'm holding my values and I'm taking them somewhere else. Then I guess you could choose a soulmate then. But I'm saying you don't have to do that. You don't have to get divorced. Think about this. So I live in America. I live in Houston, Texas. Let's say, so if I'm visiting China let's say I'm visiting China for a week. I don't have to learn Chinese. I can learn a few words. I don't have to love Chinese food. I can still live like an American living in China or being in China for a few days. I don't have to change I don't have to change my values. I don't have to change. But if I get exiled to China for some, whatever, I'm in China and I have to stay there forever. I can't come back here. It makes no sense for me to still try to be American when my whole reality has changed. I need to adapt and be where I am in the same way. When you are married, be who you need to be here. I'm not talking about changing your character. I'm not talking about your personality. I'm not talking about your soul, who you are at your core. I'm not really talking about, I guess I am talking about that. The parts, because there are parts of your soul that you can change also too. What I'm saying is this. If you're married and you didn't marry a soulmate, but you want to reach a certain level of connection and happiness, then you better be about the business of transforming, both of you, transforming to fit like puzzle pieces. You just got to do a little bit of shaving because you didn't choose it up front. But God is God. Marriage is God's idea. Don't ever think that God is not involved or don't want to get involved in making your marriage great. Okay? So now, that's what I have for you guys tonight. I hope that was helpful. If you guys have questions, I'm definitely, and I'm going to take some questions on Instagram too. If you guys ask, I'll look down and see what you got. But if there are any questions, let me know. If not, I'm going to give y'all about 5 or 10 minutes to if you have any questions about soulmates or choosing a mate or, other things to look for. Because, this could have been way longer. There's a ton of stuff if I would go, line by line of things to look for when you're choosing a mate. But ultimately, you can't effectively choose a mate. You can't effectively choose a partner if you don't know who you are. And that's where the emotional maturity piece comes in. When I talk about emotional maturity, again, I'm not talking about being perfect. You don't have to have all of your childhood work done, but you got to have a healed soul. You got to be good with you. That's the main thing. Most of these folk who are toxic or who are not relationship ready, they're not good with themselves, but they don't realize that because they keep blaming everyone else for what's going on in their life. You got to be okay with you. If you've healed your soul and you're good with you, then you're relationship ready. But you got to choose someone else at the same level. Be wise. No sense in wasting time rushing, and then now you got to uproot all of what you did because you moved too fast. That's painful. Don't do that. Okay? So, all right. Well, I don't see any questions, and it's already been 42 minutes. I thought I was going to get this under 30 minutes, but I'm a little long-winded, I guess. So, I really appreciate you guys joining. Haven't come up with the next topic yet, but I believe it's going to be next weekend. I'll send out an email. For those of you on Instagram, if you are not on my email list, go to cliftonbrantley.com and join the email list so that you'll get notifications when I go live. I don't know if I'm going to do, if I do Instagram again, I'm going to try to put the camera up here so it doesn't look like I'm looking over your head like I am now, looking at the camera. So anyway, one thing I would like for you guys to do, just let me know. I mean, it'd be nice if it was at least helpful to you. You're going to have any questions, but is my wife on here? Somebody got to say something. Now, I see, preachers need amens. Like, you got to say something. There we go. Somebody said something. It was great. Thank you, BJ. I appreciate it. I just needed somebody to say, hey, I enjoyed that. All right. Now, I'm about to go do my other business, which is woodworking. I'm going to have some stuff to post for you guys soon. Yes, I'm crossing businesses because I'm me. So anyway, as I was saying, show you some of my woodworking stuff because I'm trying to get that off the ground. I don't know if I've shared this. I don't think it's a secret, but I'll just tell you I'm trying to retire my wife. So I created another business. We're going to get her about that job. Y'all not working with me. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. And I hope that you guys will join me next time. Be easy.